Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more worked up than rolling a natural 20 for attack.
Welcome to episode number 31. I am your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother, Josh Winter, and our geeky friend, Jason Summer.
Howdy!
In this episode, Westworld has been canceled. EA and Marvel are teaming up to make more video games. A DC Warner Brothers update. Netflix is officially making a Gears of War movie. Production and release date updates for The Last of Us HBO series, The Sandman Season 2, Wonder Man, and more. Plus, we check in on Star Wars Andor. And please, before we start, do not forget to share this show with your friends and also follow us on social media. Instagram at Eat Sleep Nerd, Twitter at Eat Sleep Nerds. Jason, Josh, hi.
Hi.
You there, Josh?
I am.
Hi.
I'm collecting myself.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just jump right in. What have you guys been geeking out on? Who wants to start?
So, I was browsing around on the old HBO Max and fell victim to advertising. I'm a sucker for it. But one of their shows is Avenue 5. And apparently its new season just started.
With Hugh Laurie. Mr. Dr. House.
Mr. Dr. House. Yes, Mr. Dr. House. No, the premise of the show is good, and it's from a lot of people who did like Veep, and you get a lot of guest stars from the Office and the Parks and Rec universe. So it's a bunch of familiar faces, both on the acting side and on the creative side. But the premise of it is it's in the not too distant future, and people can take cruises through the galaxy on these big starships. And it ends up being a workplace comedy about one of the starships, Avenue 5, captained by Hugh Laurie, that has a malfunction, and their return time goes from being 2 weeks to 8 years.
Oh.
And it's about everyone dealing with that, and every time they try to fix something, they of course make it worse. As you go into it, you find out a few things, like basically the entire thing is on autopilot, and Hugh Laurie's captain is an actor that they hired just because he looks captain-y.
He's a figurehead.
Yeah, but he's still expected to be in charge now that there's an actual catastrophe happening. And so he doesn't know what he's doing. They try to eject some folks who died in the initial accident into space, but
Jesus.
It doesn't go to plan. There's not enough pressure in the tubes, so now these coffins are just orbiting the ship. And so every 30 minutes, when you're looking out the observation lounge, just these coffins float by. Like it's dark sometimes, but it is hilarious.
That is some dark, hilarious writing. Yes.
So it's in season 2 now, right?
It is, and I'm thinking this is probably going to be the last season, which sucks because the show definitely had like some freshman pacing issues. Mm-hmm. I was saying earlier, it's kind of like The Office. Like, season 1 of The Office is not great. You can see the seeds of it turning into something great, but it's just not there yet. Same thing with Avenue 5. By the time the second season hits, it's awesome, but they've already released all the actors from their contracts. So they haven't officially canceled it, but it's probably not going to get a season 3, which sucks because it's actually a lot of fun.
I know, like, even when season 1 came out, I wanted to go watch it because I love Hugh Laurie. And so I was actually looking forward to diving into this one. But I have a hard time starting to watch new things when I know that they're going to get canceled before I even start it. So
I would still do it. It's very much the premium comedy format. It's like 20 minutes an episode. So it's not like you're going to have a tremendous amount of time invested in it. And like I said, it is funny. It is different. And it's getting better. So I'd still watch it.
Jason, what about you? What have you done this week?
I've done more geeky stuff than I've done in a while. So
you slacker.
I finished that one game I was playing, which I'm not going to mention again.
Oh, Outer.
Yeah. So I started toying around with getting involved in some other games, and I downloaded the Grand Theft Auto Vice City re-release or remake, and I guess they lost the licensing to all their music because
they lost license to some of it. So yeah, they did update the soundtrack.
Yeah, so
for those 3 games. Yeah.
Missed, and part of the lure for me of that game was listening to an 80s soundtrack while playing, and now it's just all talk radio. And I'm like, so it was actually
you can
fun.
Change the radio station, right?
I did.
Okay.
No, really though, it's like half the music though is gone.
Right, yeah. or it's its own made up music that they made just for the game to make it sound like 80s music. So
fun story before we get into your next thing. So fun story about Vice City is that was kind of the game that kick-started my career in website development.
Really?
So when I was way too young to ever play Grand Theft Auto, probably even Josh was way too young to be playing Grand Theft Auto. I watched Josh play Grand Theft Auto 3 when it came out, all the way back in 2001. And I loved how just it was an open world. You can go and do anything. And so I really looked forward to Vice City. So when Vice City came out, I played it myself. And I loved how you could there were so many Easter eggs and things to discover. And that was even just multiplied with San Andreas when that came out 2 years later. And I loved that game so much that I was constantly browsing fan sites and early days internet where fan sites were the majority of the internet. Mm-hmm. And there were tons of Grand Theft Auto websites. And so I was just always browsing these to see if I could learn the newest tips and tricks for finding these hidden things in these Grand Theft Auto games. And I wanted to go make my own fan site because I wanted to join the club and spread out my own knowledge about these video games that I'm discovering.
Huh.
And then after a year or two, I realized I'm spending more time and enjoying making the website more than actually playing the video game. And that blew up into my career as a website developer. So Vice City, in a really weird way, is the reason I have my job today.
That is
what I heard is that I am the reason you have your job today.
I mean, essentially.
I mean, if you want to keep going down that hole, I guess you could say that, yeah.
Hashtag Josh was right.
Oh my God.
Possibly the first time chronologically that Josh was right.
I mean, 2001. Yeah, that's quite some time ago now. We're looking at 21 years.
So with Vice City, you're playing that one. Does it hold up? I know it's been remastered.
Hey, actually, the remastering makes it look weird. I don't.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, which is why I have not gotten it.
Yeah, I kind of drove around and just kind of ran around the city for a little bit, and yeah, it just wasn't as fun.
Because they didn't really update models, right? They just updated lighting and texture.
Something like that. Essentially, yeah. It made it look
so
very...
it looks like toys running around.
Cartoony. Yeah, very, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cartoony and almost Roblox-ish.
Yeah.
To a degree. Very, yeah. It definitely had a weird look to it. And I started watching The Peripheral.
The Peripheral
with Chloe Grace Moretz. Chloe Grace Moretz. Really cool. It's almost like Ready Player One, but darker and way more adult.
Ever since you texted us about it, I have been seeing advertisements for it everywhere. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
They have been listening. So it looks awesome.
I will
be watching that. I think we'll all be watching that one this week, and possibly talking about it on our next episode. Because it does look really awesome. It is, I guess, a sci-fi-esque show.
Yes. No. It is sci-fi. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I do highly recommend it.
Okay.
Oh, and I started reading, I continued reading the Dresden Files, Stormfront, which he's a detective in Chicago, set up, about now, but he's also a wizard, and he solves cases relating to...
Using magic?
Yeah,
okay.
Using
magic and wizardry, yes.
Josh scared me.
Sorry.
Using magic.
Sorry. Magic.
I was clearly more invested than I thought I was.
So my takeaway from this was, you know how to read? Whoa.
What the hell does that mean?
Friggin' nerd.
Exactly what you think it means.
You jackass.
Corey, what have you been doing?
So... I have been killing noobs over in Modern Warfare 2. Ooh. I am 2 ranks away from the max rank. I have been just all over this multiplayer. I finally unlocked the weapon that is putting me over the edge and just killing the noobs. So originally when I did my review, I'd only done 2 of the multiplayer modes. It was free for all, which is where you're in like a 8-person match and you just kill everybody. And I was also doing team deathmatch, which is the same idea, but you're on 4-person teams or 6-person teams. But I started branching out a little bit more, and there's actually one mode which is called Hardpoint. Okay. It's the same idea as team deathmatch, but instead of just at free will going around the map and killing everybody, it's like a checkpoint that you have to capture in one specific location on the map. And the only way to get points during the match is by capturing that checkpoint. So like kills and deaths and stuff don't actually count against the score. So you can kill as many people as you want, die as many times as you want. It doesn't matter. You have to catch that checkpoint. And so it funnels everybody into one spot on the map for ultimate destruction and death. And it's awesome.
So it's like time holding that spot?
Yes. And the hard point keeps moving like every 60 seconds. It's like you're constantly having to like jump around. So I'm having a lot of fun with this multiplayer. A few other modes as well. But yeah, lots of fun. It came out that Modern Warfare 2 had an $800 million worldwide first weekend in total sales.
Okay.
Nearly $1 billion in total sales, which is actually the best opening weekend for a Call of Duty game in franchise history going back 20 years, which actually kind of blows my mind because I remember back in the original trilogy of Modern Warfare games, especially Modern Warfare 2 and 3, there was so much hype around those games. Like they had in-person launch events and marketing all over the place. How does this game outsell that? Because I've barely seen marketing for this game.
I think marketing is just different now.
I guess so.
It's you don't see it on TV or anything like that. It's a 2-second ad on Twitter or.
And I guess also just gaming in general is bigger now than it was 15 years ago.
Does that account for inflation, by the way?
I don't know if it does, but okay. I was actually just thinking it's probably inflation as well.
Yeah. But still, it's still a big chunk of change.
Yeah, a nearly $1 billion opening weekend for a single video game. That's pretty awesome.
I was about to say,
and well worth it.
It took Black Adam to, 2-3 weeks to hit that?
Hasn't even gotten there yet.
It hasn't even
Black
gotten
Adam's
there yet.
Like
so
$320.
Yeah. But also video games are they
6
cost
times more expensive than a ticket.
That's a good point.
But anyway, so that's our week. A few programming notes before we get into our nerdy news. One thing that we mentioned last week that we were saying Liam Hemsworth, who is taking over the lead role in The Witcher from Henry Cavill.
Baby Hemsworth.
We said that he was not a leading man, which is actually kind of incorrect. So I do want to correct that. He actually was the lead role in the Independence Day 2 movie that came out a few years ago.
There was a second movie? No, I'm just...
I was going to say, we're being generous with the term lead man, but okay.
Prior to digital, that would have gone straight to video. I hate to say it.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. No, but...
If you're referring to Bill Pullman, the sequel, then...
I just wanted to give credit where credit is due.
That's true. Now, since you bring him up, I just wanted to mention, Josh, I think you've met Liam Hemsworth, haven't you?
I did.
Yes.
I did in Nashville, Tennessee. Yep.
Yes. So Josh has been rubbing elbows with celebrities.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he's very tall.
Well, that's good.
No, really, like I can't stress that enough. That was literally my first, second, and third thought. It was just, damn, he is tall. I seriously think he's like 6'3", 6'4", something like that. Like he's a very tall man, very skinny, which makes him look even taller. So, but he was very, very nice, very calm, very quiet. He and Miley Cyrus were in the store, who she was also very calm and quiet and sweet. So no, lovely people.
That's so cool.
I still don't think he'll be a great Witcher, but the Twitterverse has been in flames. And it's kind of fallen into two groups. Either group A, who just thinks Henry Cavill is the biggest turncoat in the face of the planet, and that he just bailed on the show for a better paycheck, which I don't even think is how that math is going to math out.
And also I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, and even if that was the reason, like, okay. But also the other camp, which is more the camp that I'm in, basically, is just upset that he lost his passion for something that he was very, very, very excited about, and that the writing team clearly was not even on board with the source material, which how do you get a job writing for something where you actively hate the source material? That goes beyond me. But anyway, Jason found the article.
Talk to coders.
Yeah.
Nerd humor. I love it.
But no, Jason found a change.org petition or something like that. It has like 150,000 signatures, something like that.
Yeah, 150,000 signatures.
Where they're saying bring back Henry Cavill and fire the writing staff.
Right.
I mean,
and I almost wonder if they offered him that, if he would do it. I kind of think he would, but I don't know.
In this day and age where we're seemingly getting a Snyderverse revival, I don't put it past anybody to
do anything,
to renege on things that were announced. So
yeah,
I can see it happening.
Here's the thing, though. We can speculate, and part of the fun of doing this stuff is speculating left and right, but we really don't know what the inner workings are. And I like to think that he was just like, I mean, you've been called up to do Superman. You kind of like whatever else you're doing at the time, you're like, this is Superman. You just
like
let that stuff go.
That's arguably the best role you could ever have, is to be Superman, because that's like a role you have for life. Like no one's ever going to forget that you were Superman.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's more important for him because this is his redemption arc. Like
as a person,
like he's done it before and arguably didn't really get to do it the way that it should be done. So now he gets a second chance. Who gets to come back and do it again?
Yeah, and like this is not like the Superman Returns movie, which it just didn't hit on any of the nails. Just nothing hit right. With Man of Steel, everybody felt that Henry Cavill was good as Superman and wanted to see more.
Yeah, even if you didn't like Man of Steel, you liked Henry Cavill.
Exactly. And
which, by the way, if you didn't like Man of Steel, you're wrong. But
all right, this is probably 29 out of 31 episodes we have talked about how Man of Steel and Henry Cavill are perfect. So, any final thoughts before we get into our news?
Yes.
I'm just thinking the audience has heard it, but it's fine. It's fine.
No, it's okay. They're all sitting at home going, yeah.
It needs to be said. It needs to be said. All right, you guys want to get into our nerdy news?
Digga-diggoom.
Is that a yes?
Yes. Digga-diggoom.
All right.
All right, and thank you for joining us on our 7 o'clock news.
Hey, you what? I actually like that. Keep that. All right, lots to talk about, but let's start with the breaking news over the weekend. HBO has canceled Westworld, the sci-fi drama centered around a robotic theme park. The Hollywood Reporter calls it an unexpected fate for the series, given it has been a critically acclaimed series for the network. Though the show's creators Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy have been ambiguous on whether Westworld would even return following the 4th season finale. And so on and so on. So yeah, after 4 seasons, 36 episodes, and 54 Emmy nominations, and several of those have been wins, HBO's canceling Westworld.
Well, clearly HBO is not done with their cutting of quality entertainment.
Is it though? Like I mean, don't get me wrong, like I enjoyed Westworld. I've watched every episode so far.
So
that said, its cancellation does not surprise me.
Why does it not surprise you?
It was one of those things where it was lightning in a bottle. Like that first season, everyone was talking about it, and then going into the second season, it was kind of like, oh yeah, it's back. And then seasons 3 and seasons 4, it was less and less prevalent in pop culture. So while I never thought like the quality went down or anything, I could tell that people cared less and less. And I think its audience viewership like halved going into season 3 and then again in season 4.
Yeah, what you're saying does hold up. So the first 2 seasons had millions of viewers per episode, but the audience dropped significantly, and the reviews and critical acclaim for the series dropped significantly in season 3 and even more so in season 4. So yeah, just the quality of the show kind of dipped and the audience kind of reflected that.
I feel like the bulk of the story they really wanted to tell, they told in season 1, and then they had to figure out what they wanted to do next. Like the story went beyond the book. And so it kind of had the same issue that Game of Thrones had as soon as it went beyond what had been published. You know what I mean? Like it was still good. It was never terrible, but that spark just kind of went away.
So this was a series that I loved the idea of. And so I tried watching it. The first episode was amazing. And So I had to watch this second episode like 3 times, and I fell asleep every single time. And I don't think it was because the episode was boring. It was just like one of those things. I just kept falling asleep because I kept watching it at a weird time. So I was like, after 3 attempts, I can't. I'm done. Sorry. But yeah, from the little I saw of this show, it actually was amazing. But yeah, the show is about a robot uprising, right?
So it's from Michael Crichton, same guy who did Jurassic Park. Apparently the dude's kind of a one-trick pony. All he does is think up stories about how futuristic theme parks could go wrong. And no, really, I mean, that's like every book he's ever written.
That's not entirely true. Airframe, not about a theme park.
Anyway,
like one of the only other ones
Pongo.
I've read.
So the premise it's a Wild West theme park that was populated by highly sophisticated androids. And the gist of it was you could do anything. You could be the white hat sheriff who comes in and keeps the peace and shoots up the bad guys and saves the day. Or you could be a marauding, raping, pillaging bandit. Anything in between. And one day, because of a coding error, at least in the television show, the robots start to become self-aware and realize they're getting the crap end of the stick here. And they decide that they don't want to do that anymore.
I just wanted to know if you guys knew that this was kind of a remake.
Yeah, the original movie back in like the 80s?
1973.
Early 90s? Oh, gosh.
Older than that, no.
It was written and directed by Michael Crichton.
Oh, wow.
And it had Yul Brynner in it, James Brolin. I believe that's Josh Brolin's dad.
Father. Yep.
Alan Oppenheimer, who is the voice of Skeletor. Dick Van Patten. So it was a celebrity-filled cast too. So I wonder if that's something we should check out later. Just because. Just to check
You always want to watch the old things.
I do.
And Corey,
I kind of want to see.
And Corey never wants to watch the old
He
thing.
doesn't. It's hard to make Corey watch anything. Now, I do want to point out again, Corey, when we've had you watch these things that you haven't wanted to watch, you have enjoyed them.
Enjoy is a strong word.
I do not recall.
You liked Metropolis.
Yes, because it was so weirdly
weird.
You
love that 30s style dancing. That's what you liked. In Metropolis.
That was my least favorite part. Okay.
The old flapper dancing.
Anyway, let's move off of this. So yeah, Westworld, it's not coming back, people. Sorry. So in other DC Warner Brothers news, so Josh, you mentioned that the hashtag release the Ayer cut was trending over the weekend. And first, can you fill us in on what the Ayer cut is?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. This is so dramatic for like no reason.
Picture it. 2018. The original The Suicide Squad is coming to theaters. It looks nothing like the first trailer that came out. It's neon and has 1 million radio hits on it. People are wondering why. We don't know. Later on, we find out that it's because David Ayer, the brilliant man who brought you Training Day, by the way, wrote the script for Training Day, had his vision of the movie butchered, and over 40% of the movie was reshot after the release of Batman vs. Superman, which was criticized for being too dark. This is also around the time that Zack Snyder was politely asked if he wanted to step aside from directing Justice League so that they could bring in Joss Whedon to release the theatrical cut of that, which also involved reshooting about 40% of the movie. They recut the Suicide Squad to match the brighter, more fun, quote-unquote, tone of the Justice League. Since then, and especially once we got the Snyder Cut, fans have been adamantly demanding, that the studio release the Ayer Cut. Because like Zack Snyder, David Ayer was very, very, very honest in saying that the movie that you saw was not his movie. Not even a little bit. It used some footage that he shot for his movie, but that was in no way, shape, or form his movie. Not the tone, not the music, not the acting, not the story, nothing. It was in no way, shape, or form his movie. And so, over the weekend, they got released the Ayer cut trending, and this is the most successful that hashtag has ever been. It peaked at over 300,000 retweets.
I was going to say, so it has trended multiple times over the years. And not to be confused, this is the 2018 Suicide Squad movie, the one with Will Smith and Margot Robbie.
Not the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Just Suicide Squad.
Yes. And so, James Gunn, the new head of DC Studios, I guess co-head, also the director of the most recent Suicide Squad movie, he took to Twitter and he said, and I quote, "Opened up Twitter at the end of a long creative weekend to see the many tweets to hashtag Save Legends of Tomorrow and hashtag Release the Ayer Cut and fan support for other DC projects over the years. The majority of these requests were enthusiastic and respectful," which means some of them are not. He continues, "As the new and first ever CEOs of DC Studios, Peter and I think it's important we acknowledge the fans and let you know we hear your different desires for the pathways forward for DC. Although our ability to interact on Twitter has been lessened due to the workload of our new positions, we are listening and open to everything as we embark on this new journey and will continue to do so for the next few years. But all of our initial focus is on the story going forward, hammering out the new DCU and telling the biggest story ever told across multiple films, television shows, and animated projects. We invite all of the DC fandoms across the multiverse and everyone else as well into this new universe. We can't wait to reveal more." So I think there's two takeaways from this. Josh, can you pinpoint the first one?
He politely said no.
Yeah, so I think we should just give up on that one. Jason, can you pinpoint the second one?
They have a plan moving forward.
The biggest story ever told across multiple films.
James
Ooh.
Gunn and Warner Brothers bring you the Bible.
Whoa.
You know, I was thinking the same thing, the greatest story ever told.
Wasn't that the Bible's tagline first?
I had decided not to make that joke, but
wasn't that God's tagline?
Well, you know, Superman has often been a metaphor for the Christ figure, so.
Yeah,
just saying.
There was a certain director who did a really good job with that. Just saying.
Joss Whedon, right?
Yeah, it was him. No, it wasn't. It was not him. No, I think the most interesting part about that is that it kind of sounds like just because of his phrasing that the TV shows, the movies, and the animated shows and movies are all going to be the same universe telling the same overarching story.
They're going to be cohesive.
Yeah. Because right now, I mean, like, okay, I'll be real. The single best superhero franchise on the planet over the last, call it 2 decades, has actually been DC animation.
Yeah.
They have been on top of it, and it has been amazing. Those are the people who should be in charge of the DC universe. Yeah. But I digress. But that's always been a separate thing. It's always had its own continuity and its own everything. So if that's getting folded into the new overarching universe, that's kind of a big deal. If all of it takes place at the same place at the same time, that's kind of cool. That's different.
Yeah, he does mention multiple films, television shows, and animated projects would be a part of this biggest story ever told. That's interesting. Because really, even in the MCU, I guess the only one that really kind of ties in on the animation side of things is What If.
Yeah.
Everything else is separate.
I think there's a lot to say here, but also there's not much to articulate yet. It's this big, I just kind of envision in my head like this big overarching parachute that is just kind of over the DCU bubble or DCU right now. And it's just a lot of air that's keeping it up right now. It's a lot of talk. It's a lot of speculation. It's a lot of theory. And they're hammering out what this new process is going to be, what this new universe looks like. All the pieces are in the right starting positions, but there's no real movement yet, with the exception of, you know, some big things like bringing Henry Cavill back and things like that. And now I say that as a segue into a really awesome announcement video from Jason Momoa.
You're getting better at these segues, Jason. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
So using Jason as a segue into Jason Momoa, Jason to Jason, get it? So Josh, you shared a video that Jason Momoa, also known as Aquaman, shared on his social media accounts. And unfortunately, we can't play this video on this podcast because he does use a good bit of vulgar language. But it is worth watching if you
Colorful metaphors.
mind that stuff. So I'll share that link in the show notes. But Josh, can you summarize what he was saying in this video?
Yeah, he looks at his friends. It looks like they're hanging out at the beach, which of course he is. Like that just checks out. But he and his buddies are standing there, and it seems like he's just gotten off the phone with someone and just decided he's going to record. And he asks his friends what day it is, and they say the 6th, which I think where he is still kind of like it was late on the 6th there. It was early on the 7th here. Anyway, point is, he says that day is going to go down in infamy. It's the best day of his life. He's gotten the best news ever, and he can't say anything about it. But he is so hyped, and he's so worked up, and then at the very end, he thanks the maestro, and just clearly excited, super stoked. So this is one of those things that asks way more questions than it answers.
Now, did he hashtag that post with DC, or did someone else do that?
So someone else did that.
Okay.
To my knowledge, the only place he posted it was his Instagram, which I don't have Instagram anymore.
Okay.
Someone screen recorded it and moved it over to Twitter, which is where I saw it.
Okay, so those hashtags are speculatory.
So who is the maestro he is referring to, do we think?
So, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Zack Snyder, I think. But only because him and Jason Momoa have been very, very close for a very long time. And Jason Momoa, at a certain point in time, was the only one who was asking for the Snyder Cut as far as the principal cast went. Like, he was the first one who came out and said, no, really, we ought to see that. Oh, is it not there? I wonder if they made him take it down.
Yeah, I'm actually not finding it on his Instagram. I'm looking at it live as we're recording this. I'm not seeing it, but I know we've seen the video. So if I can find a copy of it, I'll share it in the show notes. But yeah, as of this recording, I'm not seeing it publicly on his Instagram page. So that's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, it could be a lot of different things. The only reason I think it's Zack Snyder is because he said something along the lines of, thanks to the maestro, or thank goodness.
So you're
for the
thinking it's
maestro
Snyder. I'm thinking it's Ben Affleck.
I mean, maestro is just a weird term to use if he's talking about a coworker.
Yeah, I think maestro would be somebody who choreographed or not orchestrates.
That sounds like a director or a writer.
No, I am writing this down as a prediction. I am predicting Momoa was hinting at Affleck.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do think Affleck is coming back. I just don't think that's what he was talking about.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I guess Maestro, Snyder, sure, that makes sense. Whatever.
That's just kind of offhanded. Okay, whatever.
Either Snyder called him to tell him that he gets to do Justice League 2, which would be like the greatest thing on the face of the planet ever, or that he's going to get to do Man of Steel 2, which would be extra interesting because of a luncheon that Warner Brothers had with Steven Spielberg over this past week, where it was Zaslav, Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, and the other guy who is not James Gunn. Can't remember his name. They all ended up having lunch together. And what else could they possibly be talking about except for Superman?
That's
I heard it was
big cast of characters. Ooh.
It was a remake of E.T.
Yeah, that's my second guess.
I mean, honestly,
E.T. Begins. It's the training montage for Planet Earth.
So how would Steven Spielberg play into DC stuff?
So we're trying to do bright, hopeful Superman, right?
Yeah.
Who says bright and hopeful at the movies better than Steven Spielberg?
One of the best storytellers of our time.
One of the most iconic American directors of all time, doing the most iconic American myth of all time.
See, now I'm just hoping this is true, because that would literally be perfect.
And if it's Steven Spielberg, Johnny Williams will come out of retirement to do the score.
Which I would love, because, the Superman march is just Yeah.
Yes, that is DC Warner Brothers. Lots of stuff happening. As always, we seem to talk about this almost every single episode. Let's move on to some video game news. Whoop, whoop. So the big one, the big story coming out this week is that Marvel and EA have signed a 3-game video game deal, starting with Iron Man.
Boo.
So, wow, hold on now. So, as reported by Bloomberg, this deal will begin with the previously announced Iron Man game from EA Motive, with all 3 games coming to consoles and PC. Though details about what's coming after Iron Man are still thin, each game will feature its own original story set in the Marvel universe.
That's just not a finance source or a source you'd associate with video games. Bloomberg. I just thought that was so random.
As reported by NPR.
Right.
So, Josh, you're booing over there. What are you booing?
EA sucks.
EA does suck. So, actually, apparently Marvel's reasoning for going to EA to sign this deal is because of the success that they have experienced with the recent Star Wars games that EA put out. Exactly. So that's my thing.
Success.
EA had an exclusive Star Wars deal for video games for what, 10 years?
They put
like
out
that?
3 games.
They
put out 2 Battlefield games and the Jedi game.
And Rogue Squadron. So they did
which was so minor that everyone forgot it existed.
Yes. So I'm not sure what they see in EA. I'm not sure what anyone sees in EA.
My first thought when they said that EA was doing the Iron Man game was that you would probably only have half of your suit of armor until you paid to unlock the other half.
I love that EA is never going to be able to get away from that whole behind a paywall stuff. Like, they really dug themselves in a hole as far as their reputation goes.
Well, because they're still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've said that they're totally cool with that reputation.
Are there any exceptional games out right now by EA? I mean, anything that's like considered good, like really good?
I mean, the Jedi game was good. Like, the Jedi game was good. Yes.
Yeah, from,
Okay,
from
was
Respawn
good.
Entertainment. Yeah. Like, they have really good studios. Like Respawn, a couple other ones I can't actually think off the top of my head.
I always got the vibe that their creative team was amazing and the business team did their best to just wreck it every time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there were good games under there that got butchered by the business people who said, what if we charged extra for this? What if we made this an expansion pack? What if we made this? So, like, I don't hate EA, the studio. I hate EA, the business.
I could see that.
Obviously, their sports games every year are still big games. A recent game that I played was Battlefield 2042, but it was one of those games that they took away the single player experience and it was only online, but it launched with a bunch of bugs and stuff. So it just kind of sucked.
And still full price.
Still full price. They've had some racing games, like they put out the F1 games every year. Need for Speed. They have the upcoming Dead Space remake, which should be pretty good. So yeah, I mean, they do have good games nowadays. It's just more often than not, they have a lot of notoriety with their games. So yes, they have a previously announced the Iron Man game that I predicted, but 2 new Marvel games. So I want to ask you guys, what superheroes would you like to see get their own video game?
Well, I'd really like to see an Injustice type game for Marvel, built on a good fighting engine like Unreal, and just where you can have one Marvel character fight against another one.
Marvel versus Capcom, but
better
without the
than
Capcom. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I wasn't racking on it.
Yeah, no. But yeah, that's what I would like to see.
So we know we're getting obviously another Spider-Man game. We are getting a Wolverine game.
See, that was going to be mine. I'd like a Wolverine game. Then I remembered we were getting a Wolverine game, but we've heard nothing about it since the initial launch trailer.
Yeah, it'll come. I want to see a Daredevil video game.
Kind of use the same engine as like the Arkham Knight games.
Well, not even really. I mean, yes, that could work.
Well, think about very acrobatic, but it simplifies it down.
Yeah.
So that you feel like Daredevil. You don't spend the whole time trying to figure out what buttons you're supposed to press.
I was kind of thinking more Uncharted.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, whatever. What other superheroes, guys? Josh?
I think it would be neat to do a Black Widow game a la Splinter Cell.
Yes.
Very heavy on the stealth, very heavy on the...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that'd be cool.
And we do know we're getting a Captain America game with Black Panther. We're not quite sure what that game's going to be. That is actually coming from EA. So I wonder if that's going to be one of these games that they're talking about.
Just thinking of Professor X game.
Ooh, Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange could be cool.
Or just X-Men in general, which I guess is Wolverine. But it's been a long time since we've had a good X-Men game.
I think this is where you see the difference between DC and Marvel. And Marvel they've put their product together a little better in the recent decades, but DC I think has got the stronger characters. And so you could easily pick out what characters in DC.
Oh yeah, I've been saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you have been saying that. Yeah. But like I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, what Marvel characters would I like to see a video game of? And there aren't really that many. And I just started drifting into DC and there's several where you could have an entire game based off just one character.
Oh, yeah. There's a million DC ones. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway.
All right. Let's move into one more video game-esque story. Netflix has announced that they are finally making a live-action Gears of War movie. Plus, they will follow it up with an adult-oriented animation series. So, after 15 years in development hell, we're finally getting a Gears of War movie.
So this is a popular game or something?
entire
yes,
series
Grandpa.
of games.
Yes, Grandpa. It's a very popular game. All the youth are playing it.
When you say Gears, I think of, yes.
Gears of War was one of those...
It was a launch title for the 360.
Yeah, and it was, for the longest time, I guess it still is, one of the only Xbox exclusive IPs along with Halo. And they've had, I guess, 5 games now, the original trilogy plus some newer games. So yeah, it's been going on for I guess 15 years now. Ever since the first game came out, there has been rumors of a movie in the works with none other than Dave Bautista playing the lead role because he has an uncanny resemblance to the character. But yeah, this is the first official announcement from none other than Netflix that they're actually officially making this movie.
So now they just need to make it before they go under.
Oh no.
Because as soon as I'm just saying, because as soon as the word gets out that Netflix is having trouble running in the positive, they're going to quit getting loans for all these billion-dollar productions. Because like I said, they've been running on credit for so long that I'm pretty sure any day now the bottom's just going to fall out of it. Like, Netflix's value is in the idea of Netflix.
Right. Well, I mean, they've made some really good business decisions recently, like going to tiered subscriptions, or with the paid subscriptions that have ads on it, you know, not having a full catalog of programming. I mean, they're making really good business decisions right now, which I'm certain will keep them afloat.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not going to.
That's sarcasm, just in case.
I know you're being
wondering.
facetious.
Yes.
I know you're being facetious.
Okay.
But there are clearly people who think it's a good idea. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. It's not. It's super not. So yeah. In fact, most of their decisions are kind of odd right now. Like, for example, they bought the rights for the Benoit Blanc Knives Out series, right?
Okay.
They are sending the new one, Glass Onion, to theaters for 1 week.
Is it?
That's it.
Is it?
That's it. 1 week.
With that cast? That's it?
Yeah, 1 week.
Okay.
What's the point? What is the point of that?
In case you want to see it on the big screen. I don't know.
I'm just saying that makes no sense. It would almost make more sense to do the simultaneous release like we did for a little while with HBO. I don't know. I'm just saying that struck me as a weird decision. I just don't see it.
So yeah, Gears of War. We're looking forward to this.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know much about the game, so I can't say much about the movie.
Well, it's a third-person shooter, so would you like that? I know you're not a first-person shooter kind of guy. Do you like third-person shooters?
I don't like shooter games for the most part.
What if I told you your rifle had a chainsaw on it?
That's actually a big selling point, yes.
What? Why did I just think of Army of Darkness?
It's very
It's very much that same sort of vibe. A Warhammer is also an acceptable answer.
Is
Several of their rifles
is it a very
had
serious
chainsaws.
game, or is it kind of tongue in cheek?
I mean,
It's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. You fight aliens.
Yeah, I like my a little cartoonishness to my video games.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's not your thing.
Yeah, that's not
No,
me.
yeah, I'm kind of sure of that.
All right. Well, we're finally getting, after 15 years of waiting, we're finally getting a Gears of War movie and an animated adult series following.
And I'm
that.
happy for those of you who have been waiting. I send you all my positive energy and keep you in my thoughts.
All right. I want to do a new thing on this episode where we kind of just
no?
sum up. Yes, Jason. Where we kind of just sum up all of the production and release date things, and then you guys kind of just pick up the things out of that you want. So I'm just going to run through this list. So the big one, The Last of Us TV series on HBO is premiering on January 15th of next year. The Sandman has been renewed officially for season 2 at Netflix.
Yeah.
Woo!
There has been some casting news over in the Agatha Coven of Chaos Disney Plus series. Aubrey Plaza has reportedly been cast as a villain.
Nice.
And it's going to be a 9-episode limited series.
As
Star Wars
Disney goes.
Acolyte adds
Ooh,
Carrie
yes.
Ann Moss and Daphne Keane to the cast.
Odd selection.
And then Wonder Man, the TV series I completely forgot about, is tapped lead actor Yahya Abdul Mateen. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that name, but it's a really awesome name. Plus, Bob Odenkirk is in talks to join the cast. If talks go through, he'll play Simon Williams' manager. So, from all of this casting and production news, what do you guys have to take away from all this?
Odenkirk is nobody, right?
Yes, Odenkirk was
Yes.
nobody.
He's not.
Yeah, nobody.
Not
yeah.
no. He is. You know,
The movie, Corey.
he is. He is
Nobody.
He is.
The movie.
Better Call Saul.
Right.
Saul.
Right.
It's all. I never watched it. Whatever. Yes. So if that comes through, that's going to be awesome. I love everything he does.
I'm not sure how I feel about Carrie Ann Moss in Star Wars.
I'm glad that she's getting other things other than Matrix.
I mean, yeah, I like her.
I can
don't
see
know.
her playing a Sith Lord easy.
Right?
See, that was going to be my question. Is she
Yeah.
playing the bad guy? Or one
I can
of
see
the
her
bad
being
guys?
dead ass evil. Just, and I would love to see that because I think she'd be good at it.
I mean, same thing with Aubrey Plaza for Agatha. Like, that's perfect villain casting if you can take her seriously.
Yeah. She's so chaotic anyway, which
Yeah.
I think is part of the allure of bringing her on board.
I just don't know what to think about that show.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm having
I-
trouble
I-
seeing how that's going to fit in the bigger
Right.
picture.
I know, that just seems like one of those shows like they didn't have to add that to the lineup. It just seems kind of like...
Yeah, could we have spent the millions somewhere else?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm saying that, without having seen it, maybe it's the greatest thing ever, and we're all going to be talking about it as one of our favorite shows. But
I'm not
that one-
speaking of that spinoff, I'm not a fan of the direction that they took with Wanda after WandaVision in Doctor
well,
Strange.
apparently they're going to be bringing her back for the Vision series.
Okay.
So that may not have been the end of.
Okay.
of
Because I
Wanda
wanted
backing
to,
off.
because I wanted more from WandaVision, like a second season. But I guess maybe we're getting it.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Olsen, yeah, she has said that it's likely not the end of her time in the
Okay.
MCU. Take from that what you will. So yeah, we'll probably see her again.
Okay. All right.
I think it's up for Kevin to decide whether or not that was the end of her time in the MCU.
K.E.E.I.N.
Yeah. But I think my biggest
Yes.
takeaway is that The Last of Us is premiering January 15th. That's a lot sooner than
I was
thinking.
expecting like a summertime, like springtime, summertime.
Yeah. So guys, that adds something to our January lineup for this show. We will be reviewing this show as it comes out because it's going to be that awesome.
I just wanted to check. We did have options to opt out on shows, right?
Correct.
Hey,
Yeah, just wondering. No, I'm not saying it's this one. This just reminded me I wanted to ask about it. This particular show.
Okay.
Just
Jason doesn't want to be scared by the not zombies.
They're definitely zombies.
zombie fungal infection people. That's
Just get
Yes.
some tough acting Tinactin. It'll be
you
fine.
just spray it down, and you don't need a machine gun. You just need some Lotrimin.
Guys, seriously. In 4 to 6 weeks, this is not going to be a problem.
Just make sure you apply it every day.
Twice a day, once in the morning, once at
Right.
night. Try to keep it dry.
Anyway.
Tough acting and acting.
I would like to remind everybody that I think Willow starts at the end of this month too, right? 30th?
Willow.
Yes.
Yes.
We will be opting out of that one.
What?
I'm gonna give every show that we have on the docket at least one episode to convince me if I should watch it or not. So I will give Willow at least one episode to see if I'm interested.
Okay, have you seen
watch
Willow?
the movie?
The movie.
Nope.
Okay, so we
Probably
have to watch
required.
that. Yes.
I mean, yeah obviously. I'll do
Okay.
that.
So Corey's going to watch the movie and then decide that was his one episode, and he will not be watching Willow.
Here's what I'm going to do, Jason. I want to go watch Willow, the movie.
Okay.
We're going to come back onto this podcast,
Okay.
and I'm going to get your live reactions to my reactions.
Okay.
So whether or not I hate it,
Okay.
we're going to learn in real time on this podcast.
Okay. Fair enough. I think that's fair. Now, I will say the graphics had a little to be desired. They were lacking.
You're not selling this very well.
No. But
Seriously, the best thing you could do would be to stop talking.
I need no expectations, so
all right, fine.
I go with the clean slate.
Okay. Val Kilmer's in it.
I guess that was a little bit. All right. All right, let's get into what we traditionally call our review segment, but we're not going to really call this a review this time. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Andor, just getting caught up on it with everything that's been going on. Haven't really talked about the show in probably 4 episodes, because we just had so much else to watch. But Jason and I have caught up for the most part, and we're not going to really talk spoilers here because I know Josh has not caught up yet. And I don't think we really have to talk spoilers to actually talk about this show. And we will be doing a proper review for this show at the very end of the season. So I think it has a handful of episodes left. We will be reviewing it officially in a couple of weeks. But for now, we're just going to talk about, how we're feeling about it and our takeaways and just checking in on our feelings about Andor so far. So Jason, what are you taking away now that you're caught up?
We're definitely seeing the beginning of the rebellion and how all of the different rebel cells are starting to make their moves and starting the ultimate rebellion that leads up to A New Hope. You kind of get you're getting an idea of course, where Andor's sense of purpose and role in the rebellion kind of kicks off too, which I mean, that's none of that is anything that's surprising, but we're getting a really good introduction to that, and I'm really enjoying that.
It's a really in-depth story. Like they're really taking their time to lay out this story. Like it's not rushing through anything at all. And I'm seeing a lot of critical reaction that this is the best thing that Star Wars has put out in years. And I don't really feel that, honestly, because I think Mandalorian still kind of outweighs it, in my opinion.
Easily.
Obviously, Book of Boba Fett.
Go away, Josh.
Specifically, the 2 episodes that had nothing to do with Boba Fett. Crowning achievement.
Now, I will say, I mean, Andor is really, really good.
Yes.
Like, just the fact that it is focusing so heavily on the story and less so on the action and everything. The character development, the plotting of what it's leading up to is done really well. And actually, something that came up is that Tony Gilroy, one of the writers on Andor, I believe, has said publicly that they don't rewrite anything on set. They actually rewrote the entire show prior to filming, and what they wrote stayed in stone. It's what they ended up filming, which means they actually had a story before we're going into this show, and it's actually showing because of the quality of what's actually turning out into this show.
Well, think about how much easier that makes it for everybody involved. I was reading, you remember a couple weeks back, we talked about all the special effects houses that said working for Marvel kind of sucks. Because of the unrealistic deadlines, but also because they'll be halfway through a shot when they get a memo from Marvel saying, oh, we've rearranged this entire scene and we rewrote it, and it's a night shot, but now it's a daytime shot. Oh, we're on the moon and there's 84 gorillas in the background. Like, I mean, like stuff like that. And
I would like to see that effect shot.
I just want to know how he pulled that out of his bouquet.
But you get what I'm saying, though? Like, that makes it exceptionally difficult for them. Whereas, good Lord, doing it like an old movie where the script is the script and this is what we're shooting and this is the expectation from everyone involved. Lo and behold, that makes a better product. Who would have thought?
One of the main or the similar threads that have been running through our critiques of these long story forms and multiple episode stories is that there's always a weak storyline that we really don't care about.
Yeah.
This show has done a really good job of not only increasing the amount of story threads that are going on at the same time, but I'm interested in all of them.
And they all make sense.
Right. And they're all heading somewhere. Like they're building tension in each one. They all seem relevant. And the writing is pretty good for keeping this story going.
And in the most recent episodes, it's been getting pretty tense too. Like we haven't really talked about it yet, but we finally had the big heist episode a few episodes ago. And that episode was a big action set piece episode, which I was saying this show has not had a lot of, but when it actually does have the big action set pieces, it does it really well. But then ever since that big heist, it actually kind of slowed back down again, and things are actually picking back up towards the end of the season. We're getting some drama with Andor. I'm not going to say anything too much, but things got interesting with his situation, and yeah, it's just, this is the perfect example of how Star Wars excels when the story has room to breathe, because they are taking their sweet old time telling their story. I mean, it's a 12 episode first season with another 12 episode second season on the way, telling what is actually a pretty small story, but they're focusing on the details, and it's shining. It's a shining example of storytelling.
The thing I keep seeing on Twitter, which again, I'm still a few episodes behind, but what I keep seeing over and over and over again, and people keep using the same words, without a single lightsaber, without any blaster bolts, anything like that, this is some of the most compelling storytelling that they've ever seen from a Star Wars project. And it made me think, oh, so it's the exact opposite of the sequel trilogy, where it was nothing except special effects and explosions, but none of it resonated with you because there was no story.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that.
I like the sequel trilogy.
I mean, I could just tell it was made by 4 different people.
The Last Jedi is my second favorite Star Wars
We've talked about this before. I'm actually with you. I liked The Last Jedi. I thought The Last Jedi was the strongest entry in the new trilogy.
Now, I would like to say, though, that I'm really enjoying the performance. I don't think this is a spoiler, of Andy Serkis.
Yes. So there has been some surprise castings in this show that I was not expecting. Andy Serkis being one of them. And yet again, I mean, Andy Serkis, he has a wide range of acting.
Yeah,
and it's always compelling.
That's kind of the point I was about to make. Thank you for saying, for stealing it from me. I don't think I've ever seen him in just a normal person role like this role. Like here, I mean, here he's just you know, he's just a man in this role. He's not like some crazy one-armed adamantium handed person or you know, some creature that's been possessed by a ring. He's just a man. And it's different than any of the other roles he's played, and it's convincing, and he seems like exactly the character he's trying to portray. And I was impressed by that. Yeah. And then I realized how well he portrays each one of his characters as an entirely different character.
Well, I liked him as Alfred for the same reason.
I forgot he was Alfred. Wow.
That's right, yeah. Really subdued acting, yeah, but very good acting. You're right.
So there was a report from a new study from Parrot Analytics, and I don't know how reputable this report study is, but they're saying that Andor's audience demand is slowly growing and now on equal footing with The Mandalorian. Do we believe that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoy The Mandalorian. I think it is great. It's certainly entertaining. As an older Star Wars fan, it does feel pretty PG sometimes. Andor can be enjoyed as an adult.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's the first Star Wars property that actually feels like it was intended for adults. Your 5-year-old is not going to sit down and watch Andor.
No.
Fair enough.
And they don't try to make it that way.
I think also getting more insight into how the Empire works and how society was existing at this point. You know, all we've ever seen really is the rebellion and the fighting in the Star Wars movies. And here we're getting to see the society. We're getting to see the Galactic Empire, and we get to see, you know, how the Imperial government is handling these things. And to me, I find that fascinating.
Not every person in the Empire is evil.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them are just trying to go about their lives. It was run by literally the evilest dude in the universe, but Space Hitler aside, most of these people are just trying to go about their day. And a lot of them did not like the way things were going. And I mean, it's you know, George Lucas himself said that the Empire is supposed to be space Nazis. Like that was literally the whole idea. We got to remember the first country that the Nazis conquered was Germany. So it's kind of nice seeing kind of the duality of that empire. Not everyone in the empire is stoked about the empire.
Yeah. So I just pulled it up. Yes, it does have 12 episodes.
Yeah, 12.
The last episode airs. We'll be discussing the series as a whole on our episode 34, which is airing on November 29th. So we still have, I think, 3 more episodes of Andor left. So, still a good chunk. Basically, the last fourth of it is still left to air. So, a lot could happen. Plus, we still have a whole other season. But yes, it's gotten good. It's picking up. I'm liking it. If I were to rate it today, it would be a 4 out of 5. But I'm not going to. I'm gonna
Right. If I were, but I'm not. I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it.
All right, don't forget, on next episode, we will be reviewing Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Woohoo!
And we might have a special guest.
Special guest?
If he doesn't flake out on us, we might have a special guest join us.
Don't say that, because if you say it like that, then if he's not there, then everybody... Anyway, can't say
We probably should reach out to him to confirm if he's going to do it or not. But yes, we might have a special treat in store for our next episode where we talk about Black Panther 2.
What else are we going to talk about? Should we all watch Peripheral this week?
We're going to be talking about Peripheral.
Okay. The Peripheral. Yes, I do recommend that. Check it out. What else? Christmas is coming up. You guys
I
can
have
start...
decorated my entire house already.
Oh my gosh.
It feels so good walking around my house and just always merry because there's merry all around me.
I guess this is your guys' season, isn't it?
It's a winter joke.
Yes, it is.
It's clever.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you guys have never heard it before.
Never.
Right.
Never. If you haven't heard it from us before, people, we need your help. Share this show. It's like the only way a podcast can grow an audience. It's if the audience shares the show. It's actually like a whole conundrum of weird things. You have to have an audience to grow an audience, but you can't grow an audience without having an audience. It's a whole thing. So people, help us out.
This is your mission, should you choose to accept it. You have 5 minutes to share this podcast. After that, the podcast will self-destruct.
Oh, God.
I'm going on a hunger strike until people share.
I mean, okay.
It's not healthy. Don't do that.
It's not healthy.
I can go for about 6 months before you guys really need to share it. But yeah, join our pyramid scheme.
Right.
Share it.
You share for 2 people, they need to share with 2 people, and so on and so forth. Until there was a large pyramid.
All right, Jason, how about you tell our audience what not to forget?
Don't forget to eat, sleep, nerd.